Pastitsio, a Greek-based pasta dish with ground meat and a bechamel sauce. If you think it's a lasagna, you're wrong. Stick around and find out why. To tackle this recipe, we got from our friend Matt, who's a fan of the channel. We start by doing something I love and haven't yet done on the channel. We take a few, maybe 5 whole cloves, and if you have them, about 5 allspice berries, and grind them using a mortar and pestle. Although I didn't find any allspice berries until after filming this and ended up using already ground, it's worth the effort if you have them. Grind until they are a fine powder. If you don't have a mortar and pestle, already ground spices are absolutely fine. These spices are your first indication that we are not making a lasagna. If you've been watching our videos for a while, you know there's going to be minced garlic and diced onion. It's kind of unavoidable, but it's always great practice. I can't stress enough that if you want to be a better cook, you need to master this. We take 6 cloves of garlic and a medium onion and prep them accordingly. In a Dutch oven, pour in a glug of olive oil and on medium, heat until shimmering. Add your diced onion and sweat until translucent. Season with a pinch of salt and stir, then add the minced garlic and cook until fragrant, about 1 minute. Next, we add our meats. Although the original recipe calls for lamb, I'm not a huge fan of it, and after consulting with Matt, he gave us the go-ahead to substitute it with ground pork. I'm not trying to steer anyone away from using lamb or other ingredients, and if that's what you end up using, let us know how it turns out. The other meat we use is 85% lean ground beef. Once both meats are in the pot, we cook until browned, breaking the meat up as it cooks. This is the point where a typical Italian meat sauce veers off in a different direction. Remember, we're making a Greek recipe after all. Once the fat is removed from the pot, we pour in some beef stock, red wine, I think I use Cabernet Sauvignon, but use whatever red you want, and some tomato sauce, and then stir to combine. For more body, add some tomato paste, followed by the spices we ground earlier, salt, and finally a couple of torn bay leaves and a whole cinnamon stick. We are now in uncharted territory. The smells emanating from this sauce were amazing, and I was so ecstatic. Normally, this is when you'd be making other components for your dish, but Pastitsio makes you wait. After the meat sauce has cooked, covered for an hour, we let it cool and then put it in the refrigerator overnight to allow the flavors to develop. If you like what you've seen so far, please consider leaving a comment, liking, and subscribing, and don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified when we post new content. I'm really happy to show off classic techniques, and Pastitsio has a bechamel layer. We've been planning to make a series of mother sauces, bechamel being one of them. Others include hollandaise, mayonnaise, velouté, among others. Bechamel is a white sauce made with a roux and milk. It isn't too hard, and it is one of the stars of the dish. Starting with the roux, over medium heat, we melt our butter. Once totally melted and foamy, evenly sprinkle flour over the top and stir with a spoon until pasty. Roux can be tricky and notorious for getting too dark if you look away. So if it's your first time making it, stay by the stove, stirring until it's perfect. Once the bubbles start getting smaller and the roux starts getting looser, it's almost ready for the next step. The roux will start smelling like butter cookies or brown butter if you're familiar. Using all your senses when cooking is a crucial skill. When we were sure the roux was done and moving quickly, we steadily poured in milk that was warmed. Stirring constantly, the base of the bechamel was just about done. Switching to a whisk, and as the temperature came back up, the sauce started to thicken and the basic bechamel was done. Classic bechamel is also typically seasoned with nutmeg. This is where the sauce gets a little extra for the Pastitsio. This is probably the only step where you can make a major error. We add an egg, but to avoid accidentally making scrambled eggs in the sauce, we first temper the egg with some of the sauce to get the temperature somewhat equal. We beat the egg in a separate bowl and then add a couple of small ladles of the sauce and whisk until smooth. Then the egg mixture is slowly whisked back into the bechamel. To the already thick sauce, we then add grated Parmesan cheese, and once that was fully melted in, we seasoned the bechamel with salt and pepper and then finally grated in nutmeg. The bechamel sauce was now ready, and all we needed to do was cook the pasta layer. Although a lot of the recipes I referenced use ziti or penne pasta, We use bucatini, which is a lot like spaghetti, but when cooked, resembles straws, and also what I suspect a lot of others opt for. It's beautiful when cut and gives a tighter, more appealing finished appearance. If you can find it, I recommend that you use it, but the other mentioned pastas will work just fine. While the pasta was cooking, in a small bowl, we beat 1 egg. To that, we then mixed about 1 cup of grated Parmesan cheese and combined it with a fork. It will be very thick and clumpy. Once the pasta was drained, we returned it back to the pot with a knob of butter and tossed. Once combined, we set aside that pot and retrieved the pot of sauce, which had been chilling in our refrigerator for the last 24 hours. And most importantly, we found the cinnamon stick and both bay leaves and fished them out. Now to a prepared 13x9 casserole dish, we added our first layer, the pasta. It looked like too much, but with the weight of the other ingredients, it will flatten, making a nice compact layer. To that, we evenly sprinkled on the egg and cheese in crumbles. Following that, we spooned the mahogany-colored meat sauce as our middle layer, followed by another scattering of grated Parmesan. In dollops, we spread our final layer of Béchamel, spreading evenly. It should resemble thin mashed potatoes, and you guessed it, another sprinkling of Parmesan to top it all off before cooking, uncovered, in an oven set to 350 degrees for 45 minutes. Turn up the heat to 375 and cook for a final 15 minutes before removing and cooling, much like a lasagna, for no less than 45 minutes. Thanks again to Matt for sharing this amazing recipe. Although very similar to lasagna and even moussaka, this is a dish all its own. It's truly a work of art, and when sliced, you're sure to hear a Greek chorus of oohs and ahs. You can find the full recipe on our website, recipesrecommended.com. If you have a recipe you think we should make, send us a message and we'll check it out. We also may make a video. Thank you for joining us, and please don't forget, great minds eat alike.